Okay, so for part 3, you're going to give them these packets of information, and they're going to have a chance to prepare a presentation. They're going to give a 5-minute presentation followed by 2.5 minutes for questions. So they're going to become the expert on this one particular organism, and a lot of these are sensational species. But you want them to get interested in this. I have noticed as I was going through that some of the links don't work, especially if you click on them directly. If you copy and paste them, they seem to work a little better. Some of them, but some of them don't work. So just tell the students to use the ones that work, and if they want to find other sources, that would be awesome. But they want to wow the class with, look at this as a problem, this is why this is a problem, have them bring in information from the climate envelopes, or the species envelopes that they built, and the climate projection sheets that they looked at, to kind of give students an idea of what the problem is, and then I want them to speculate on things that we could change that would help fix the problem. So what are some potential solutions? All right, so the first one is sharks. What we're finding is that the sharks are moving farther north. As the oceans warm, the sharks are moving farther north, so not only are we getting shark attacks in areas where we don't normally have shark attacks, but we're also getting some hybridization of shark species that normally never come in contact with each other. And so we don't know what that's actually going to do to the species. We don't know if they'll be more aggressive species. We have no idea. So that's kind of an interesting one. The second one is sea turtles. So sea turtles, as the climate is changing and the oceans are warming and the ocean levels are rising, we're losing a lot of their beach nesting habitats that they normally have. They magnetically imprint on the beach in which they were hatched, and so if their beach disappears, then they can't mate, and so we're actually losing the species. But not only that, another thing that's really crazy is that sea turtles are reptiles, and so they depend upon the temperature for sex determination. And so cooler areas of the nest become males, warmer areas of the nest become females, and so as the temperature actually rises, climate rises, what we are seeing is more females hatching out than males, and so we're going to end up with one gender only, and obviously that would spell the end of this species. That's sea turtles. The honeybees is not a climate change thing, but rather a misusing resources thing. It's an overuse of pesticides, and so honeybees are dying, and some of these articles, there's some really amazing, the China articles, that they are actually climbing up on ladders and hand pollinating with Q-tips their crop plants because they've lost the bees, and that's a very real possibility for us here in North America as well. So we need to make sure we're doing everything to maintain their habitats so that we can have the honeybees and not spraying too many pesticides. The next one is polar bears. Polar bears obviously are the most sensational species in the climate change debate. They're losing their ice habitats, and what's interesting though is what they're finding is that polar bears are a lot more adaptive in their diet because they share common ancestry with black bears that forage on other things rather than just sea life, and they're finding that they're moving inward and starting to eat geese and caribou and even berries and eggs and things like that. And so they are more flexible. However, we don't know what that will do to the species. So that's that one. Polar bears. Infectious disease. So this involves humans. And infectious disease, it's basically talking about the idea that as climate changes and the climate warms, that parasites that normally are tropical, like malaria, like the mosquitoes that carry malaria, that they can move farther north because the temperature is warming. And we're already seeing that. We're seeing malarial infections in places we've never seen before, just because it's warmer. And so the insects that carry the parasites can thrive in new areas. And so infectious disease is a big deal with climate change that students never really think about. And then the last one is ocean acidification. So it's talking about the coral reefs, and we have reef bleaching that's happening because of both high temperature spikes that tend to kill off the algae that are symbiotic with the coral, but also the change in CO2 levels that acidify the ocean actually kill off the organisms living in the coral, and so the coral dies. So that's the last one. So you're going to give them time to prepare a presentation, let them know that they can use their whiteboards, they can use the projector if they want to project something. They only have 5 minutes, and you need to stick them to their deadlines, their timing, because you'll run out of time otherwise. So 5 minutes for presentations and then a couple minutes for questions that students can ask about it. But make sure that they also address not just telling us about the problem, but they address what could be possibly done about it. And some of these articles will talk about it. But like I said, some of the links aren't working. They may be fixed now, depends on the semester, but excuse me, have them look for extra information if their links are broken, if some of them are broken. And I think that's it for the lab, so I'll pull up the homework here in a second.